So last night I put primer on the front of the Mini here. I did a light coat, a medium coat, and then the heavy coat. I still have another coat to go, because what I'm going to do here now is sand down some of the imperfections or anything that may be in the primer, like right here. I'm really happy with the body panel lines. As you can see, everything matches up really nicely. And it actually looks like a Mini again, just in the wrong color. Now, I'm doing this paint job pretty much on a budget. I'm doing all the work on the car on the budget. Eventually, I'll get the entire car repainted professionally, but this is just so I can drive it around without, having 3 different colors or, just a really crappy looking paint job. I just want it to look halfway decent for my daily driving. Alright, so I went ahead and sanded down my base coat of primer. I used a 800 grit sandpaper. I went over the imperfections here. It's now smooth to the touch there and here. Just a couple places along the body panel. And then I took my 800 grit sandpaper and actually went really lightly over the entire body panel and all over all of the primer, even into where I'm going to blend it, on top of the old paint, up on the door sill here as well. Basically everywhere. The reason being is after you do your primer or whatever, especially in my case, I'm in my garage, there's going to be like dust particles and things like that are going to land on top of the primer coat. Alright, after the sanding I put on the last coat of primer. It looks really good. It's pretty even. Well, it is even. It's not pretty even, but it's definitely ready to accept the color paint. So I'm going to go ahead and start on the color paint. Alright, so I've got the base coat done. I'm going to wait about 30 minutes or so to put the clear coat on. But as you can see, it looks pretty good. Let's see. Down here, I blended it a little bit. Still got to bring in the clear coat and do that to continue the blend there. But it looks pretty good. Pretty happy with it. I think it's a little darker. I don't know if I gotta double check the paint coat. Maybe it'll lighten up when it starts to dry, or it'll lighten up with the clear coat. Hopefully it does. Because it's a little darker than the rest of the car. There's the rest of the car. Well, that and it's got dust all over it. But we'll see. I'm just happy there's no more rust, and I won't be embarrassed driving it down the road. But it's looking good. I'm gonna go pick up another can of clear just to make sure I have enough, and then typically you want to wait about 30-45 minutes between your base coat and your clear coat. That's where we're at. And I think I'll go and apply the clear coat and see, just put a little ending video on it. So, alright, so I sprayed my first coat of clear on. Clear, you can go a little heavier. Actually, you need to go a little bit heavier than your base coat. As you can see, it has a pretty good sheen since I haven't even buffed it or anything yet. That side's still a little wet. But this side's pretty much dry. And as you can see, it's still pretty good. Once again, I haven't buffed it yet, so it's going to get a little shinier, but I also have to put a second coat on there. The reason you do multiple coats, it may look good after your first coat. Do multiple coats though, because when you do buff, it's going to take some of that clear back off. So, another coat of clear, that's going to look even a little better. It's going to bring a little more shine out, but the buffing is what's really ultimately going to do it. So don't get discouraged if your paint doesn't look as shiny as the rest of the car after you put your clear on. Just know that it's the buffing that's going to do it. This is my second coat. I'm probably going to, actually I know I'm going to go ahead and throw a third coat on. First off is I have 3 cans, and secondly because I want to get as much sheen out of this as possible. Alright, so this is the end result of my garage paint job. So pretty much it's just going to show you I've buffed it and everything. Let me go and explain that real quick. I took wet sandpaper. It was a 2000 and 3000 grit. First I went over it with the 2000. After I got my 3 coats of clear on there, I sanded down just enough to get it nice and smooth through the touch. Then I went with my 3000, went back over it, did the same thing. Dried everything off, cleaned it all up, washed the body panels real quick, and then I took my my drill head buffer, which is right there. Took that to the paintwork. I did two buffs on it. The first buff I actually ran into a problem. There was something in the buffer pad that I don't know where it came from, but it doesn't really matter. But I don't know if you can really see it, but there's some scratches in the clear there. Basically I had to re-sand down the old clear and into the paint, and then try to cover up those scratches with some new paint. Actually, there's a couple more spots here, but unfortunately, I mean, that happened to me. Otherwise, I'd be really happy with this. I'm still fairly happy with it because it came out of a spray can and cost me $100. As you can see, it's pretty shiny enough for my needs anyway. Just until I can actually get it painted. And some extra wax right there. But yeah, just want to show you that you can just have a cheap spray can paint job, do it in your garage, and it actually come out halfway decent. Go ahead and look at the paint here. This is the new paint, of course. I blended it down into the old paint. I actually need to buff it a little bit more right here, because it's still kind of grainy and textury looking. But there you have it. It's a nice temporary paint job, so you can still drive your car and enjoy it until you save up, or in my case, until I can arrange for the entire car to be painted after I get done with all the work on the body. So, thanks for hanging out, watching the videos. Once again, I hope they helped. If you have any questions, please let me know. And if you have any suggestions, let me know. Thanks.